It's that time of the weekend. Time to sit back, chill out, pour a drink, smoke a pipe, wear your fez. But whatever you do, now is the time to hop inside the mind of Velvet and Warren on this week's Cult Movie Show. Yes, welcome to podcast 22 of the Cult Movie Show. Thanks for joining us, and I want to say thank you to everybody because our numbers are really starting to climb, so I do appreciate that to everyone who is tuning in. I am, of course, Warren, and joining me in the virtual studio, as always, is the adorable, lovable, delicious, and highly intelligent Velvet Rose. How are you today, Velvet?
Wow, you just told all my secrets, Warren. I'm doing quite fantastic. So, no, oh my God, seriously, though, this is a crazy episode tonight because this is a mixture of, first off, I've been dreading this episode all week because the two movies we are reviewing, we've touted as the worst movies that we have ever seen. And we were like, we have to do a worst movie ever episode. But then coincidentally, we have like the most awesome, newest up and coming actress on our show with us today, and we were just like, and we recently reviewed a movie she's in, and she's on here with us tonight too. So it's this mixture of pleasure and pain. It's insane. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. This is Grainne McDermott. Yes, Grainne McDermott. Hi.
Hello.
So happy to have you. So for those of you. We're never going to let you go. So, Grainne McDermott, for those of you who don't know, we talked about her amazing performance in I Know You're In There, which was in podcast 20. So you can go back and listen to our review of that and then go watch the movie. But let me shut up and actually let Grainne come in and introduce herself again without me talking all over it. So, hey, welcome, Grainne.
Hi, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I mean, I think you would have heard from the podcast. We just adored I Know You're In There, and I need to find out who that horrible person was on Internet Movie Database because.
Is there a really awful one?
Yeah. But
God! Don't do it.
No,
I was just like, this person obviously did not see the same movie we saw. Because first off, somebody like left a glowing review, just like we said. Wow, this movie is fantastic, and he gave it like a full rating. So this jackass comes in and says, "Oh, this movie's terrible, and I couldn't let that last review be the only review about this movie." And he just. I think he's just there to counteract, just to contradict. I think he was just a troll. So don't even listen to him.
Or making people either love it or hate it, which is awesome. Because it's either like, and people aren't just like, it's a movie. At least they like love it, or they're like, this was horrible.
But the other thing, Grainne, is there's always, I mean, I've always sort of thought that there could be somebody tomorrow who'll go out and find a cure for cancer. But sure enough, there'll be some idiot on Twitter or Facebook who'll complain about it.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
So
totally.
Yeah, But no, it was a fantastic film, and your performance in it was just so good. And look, I suppose we'll get to the movie in just a second. But the first thing, I suppose, we've got to ask you about your name. Because I think you're the only person I've ever seen on social media who actually spells their name phonetically. Because of the issues that you have. Is there a story behind it? Because Velvet and I made a bit of a bet about the national or the country of origin.
Okay. No, I just did it phonetically because I thought it was funny. I was sitting there with the description on my Twitter page for the longest time. I was like, I have nothing to put here. I'm gonna spell my name phonetically. There we go. That's
so it's a beautiful name.
It.
It's a beautiful name. It's Grainne McDermott, and I've never met anyone with the name Grainne before. Is that just a creative musing of your parents, or is there a certain story behind the reason they named you Grainne?
Yeah, it's an Irish name, actually.
Warren was close. Warren was close. He was in the right continent, on the right island.
Yeah, but I was still pretty stupid though, and I've probably just insulted the entire Irish nation because or both of them, because I suddenly just realised McDermott is Irish.
Yes,
and so it was kind of obvious, and for me to mention another country, I'll just shut up now.
Oh, I know which one you did.
I know.
See, I'm terrible with names anyways, because I'm named after a flower and a fabric. So, I mean, I can't even begin with nationalities when it comes to names. I have no clue. But no, beautiful name. Love it.
Thank you.
So tell us more about your acting career, because we're calling you an up-and-coming actress, because I'm looking at your credits on IMDb, and you're pretty busy. And it looks like you really just started up about 2 years ago?
Yeah, I've been doing this now professionally for 6 years. So yeah, but it's just independent films take a really long time to come out. So a lot of the stuff that I have worked on in the past is now starting to come out. Like, I know you're in there, which is really cool. So now people are seeing it. So I'm getting some more work, which is awesome. But yeah, I love it. So
you're going to be busy. Yeah, you're going to be busy because not only are you talented, but you're beautiful and you have a nice personality, and that's the winning combination in the business. So yeah, you're going to go really far, and we're going to be like, ha, we talked to her back before she was, back before she got the Oscar. We talked to her. But no, totally. So did you always want to be an actress?
Yeah, pretty much. I grew up dancing competitively, so I was always on a stage performing, and then I got into acting when I was about 14 and just fell in love with it and hit the ground running, basically, and haven't stopped.
So cool. That is so cool. And what do you like about acting?
I love movies is why I wanted to be an actor, because I just love movies, and I like how that experience of sitting in a dark room with a bunch of strangers, but you're all connected through this one thing, and then everyone sees a movie, but you also see it differently.
Absolutely.
So getting to create that and be a part of it is what I love most.
Awesome. Well, that was a well-rehearsed answer. I knew you were going to ask you.
That one I totally just pulled out too.
It brings up another question actually, and that is that we asked every guest who's been on is, do you have a favourite sort of style of cinema? In other words, is there, when there's a certain genre that you just basically say to yourself, I will move heaven and earth to see that film? Or does it just sort of whatever takes your mood at the time?
Ooh, I think both. There's definitely, I have my directors that I will see anything they ever make, and same with actors. But I really love just independent film. Like when you can just tell that people loved what they were doing, and it wasn't about the money or anything going into it, but it was just the love of the story, and that translates through. Those are my all-time favorite.
Okay. Are there any sort of out there that, independent films that, from your perspective, you always say to people, you must see this, or you must, hunt this one down?
Ooh, there's a film called Little Birds by Elvin James directed it. That is amazing, and not enough people have seen it.
Okay.
So that one I shove down people's throats a lot. And also Donnie Darko is
yeah.
Yeah, so I make all
that's
my
a great
friends
one.
watch Donnie Darko if they haven't seen it, or make them watch it again, because it's my favorite.
Did you just say students?
No.
Okay, sorry. Remember, I'm having technical glitches.
Okay.
She teaches. I was like, she teaches too? She's got to talk about this. Never mind. Never mind. The beauty of non-live radio and glitchy phone connections. Don't mind me. So
okay, I have to go back. I just said, I was like, did I just say students? How did I work that in?
Sorry about that. I was like, wow, she teaches. No, sorry. But do you watch your own movies? Do you like to, after the finished product, do you like to watch your own performances?
I don't know if like's the right word, but I definitely watch all of it.
Okay.
I've seen them way too much because my family really likes watching the film with me.
Okay.
And how does that make you feel? Is that awkward sometimes?
Sometimes. I know you're in there because it scared the crap out of my mom, and that was amazing to watch.
Really?
Oh, she was terrified. She told me I wasn't allowed in her room, like, at night because it wasn't me, it was Chloe. And she's like, I know you're my daughter, but you're Chloe. Like, I can't. And then she goes, next time you're in a movie and you say, Mom, this is actually scary, she goes, I'm going to believe you and not watch it. So it's fun with that.
Well, see, that's when you know it's a cinematic masterpiece, when you're able to elicit that kind of reaction from a family member who knows that you're playing a character and they're still afraid of the movie.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I was going to ask, have you ever, I don't know, maybe late at night or with some friends, maybe after a drink or 3 too many, have you ever been tempted just to walk into somebody's bedroom and just sit there in that pose and just see? I love it.
I did that when I was little. I have an older sister and a younger sister, and my older sister, it was when The Ring came out, and she saw it in theaters and came home terrified. Her and her friend slept on my parents' floor, so we had this black wig in the house, so I put it over my face and, like, crawled into the room just because I was a jerk. And I've had the Chloe stare, like, my whole life, so I did that with the black wig, and she was very mad at me.
Oh, that is so good.
Oh my goodness, nice sense of humor. I didn't want to be at your house late at night. I see what your mother has to go through now.
That is fantastic.
I am curious about this role, and I know you're in there. So you're playing a character, Chloe, with catatonic schizophrenia. So I have to be honest, when you first heard about this role, that you're playing a character who most likely doesn't move and doesn't speak, how did that draw you in? Were you initially drawn to that role, or what did you think when they first kind of told you, you're going to play a woman that, you're playing a role that's basically a non-speaking, non-moving role? Like, what did you think when you first heard about this role as an actress?
Yeah, I was thrilled. I saw it and it was like creepy girl role, and I was like, yes. And then they were like, also she doesn't move. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. So the audition process was really cool because it was like the taste of it. I didn't realize how difficult it would be till I booked it. It was on set and they're like, no, you actually can't blink. Like, do not blink the entire time we're rolling. I'm like, okay. So like anytime, But then when it gets towards, I don't know how to spoil it, but like, that made
we can spoil it.
We can spoil it?
There we go.
So then,
we'll spoil it.
I'm like, when I got to like move around and stuff, I had the best time doing it because I was finally like free of sitting in the chair all day. But I just wanted to be creepy. That was like one of my goals, was I wanted to do the creepy girl role, and I got it. So it was
and you do it so well. I mean, no, seriously though, like, without spoiling it, like the scenes where you're basically inanimate, you're not speaking, you're not talking. We talked about how you were able to convey like this mood and emotion without being able to move and speak. And I was like, that's real talent right there. And that it came through in the movie. For the audience, it was just like, wow, who is this? She's amazing. Because, like, if I got booked to play a role where I'm just, not talking, not moving, I don't think I would be too charismatic. but you have that charisma, and we were like, wow, that's really amazing. So Warren mentioned to me off air that he did some research on this movie. I know you're in there, and that you guys actually filmed a majority of the movie in the house, and you lived together in the house.
We did. Yeah, there was about 6 to 8 people total in the cast and crew. So we always had around 6 or 7 of us just living there while we were filming. So we had like cast dinners every night and would hang out and wake up and be like, all right, what are we filming now? And just like, it was legit like a film family. It was crazy.
So you all got on...
Which I think was fun because then I just tried to creep people out.
But yes, one thing I was going to ask is the house does look very spooky, but I was sort of wondering, is that just, the way it was shot, or did you at any stage sort of when you were living there sort of say to yourself, yeah, this does actually look a bit spooky? And I think we just might have a quick technical problem. I think we've just dropped the line. So we're just going to pause for a quick second and we'll be right back. Well, we're back. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of a technical issue, which happens every now and again, but we are all back. I hope we're all back.
We're all back.
We're all back? Yes?
Yes.
I was about to say number off. 1, 2, 3. I think when all that sort of happened, Grainne, I was sort of saying that the house itself looks actually quite spooky. Did you find it at all like that when you were there, or was that just the way it was shot, the cinematography and so forth?
No, it was a spooky house. We had the woman who owns it there's like a guest house like kind of off to the side of it, so she was staying there while we were in the house, and she was telling us stories about her husband and her daughter who had passed away, but then she said that they're still around, and she was like, have you seen them? And I was like, I haven't. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed now.
Oh man.
So,
wow.
Yeah, definitely, like, the area up there definitely fit the atmosphere of the film. I was not walking around outside at night at all. Yeah, it fit very well.
Wow, that legitimately just freaked me out.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine being there and being freaked out. Just hearing about it was bad enough.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And she was just like so sincere and genuine, and I was just like, I don't know what to say to this, and I'm kind of freaked out, but like, you're very at peace with this, and I just okay.
So did anything happen to any of the cast and crew, sort of where somebody just walked up to you, I don't know, on day 4 or something, and sort of said, I am not going back in that room again by myself?
Oh, no, but I wish I would have done that.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay, April Fool's Day. This is not the day you hang out with Grainne at all.
No,
it's all about the pranks. She's all about the pranks. So, yeah, avoid her on that day. So,
yeah, I loved it on set. I got when they introduced the black contact lenses.
Oh, my God.
So when I had them on, and I just loved it because I would just stare, because we all got very close. We were all living in the house together. Like, there's no escaping each other. And so I always talk with our sound guy. His name's Travis. He's awesome. And so I would just sit there and stare at him with the black lenses in until he realized what I was doing. And sometimes it took like a really long time, and then he'd like look at me and like jump and run away, and it was great.
So you really did have a good time on set.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Cool.
One other question is that I know that when we watched this for the first time, Velvet and I got into this quite interesting discussion about how the film ends. The idea of, is it paranormal or is it sort of mental health, schizophrenia? And I've started to speak to a couple of people now about the ending of this movie, and nobody can seem to actually agree. And I just wondered, are you in on the secret? You know, like, did Robert Gordon actually, or did you just play it the way you saw it?
I played it the way I saw it. We actually filmed like 3 different endings, so Rob didn't even tell me how it ended. I didn't know until I watched it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we filmed a lot of different endings, and then we reshot the ending, like the very, very ending of what it is. So I didn't even know for the longest time. So Rob, and he'll constantly joke with me. Like, he still calls me Chloe. He doesn't call me Grainne. He calls me Chloe. So that's our relationship. And so if I ask him about it, he'll just give me some like bullshit answer, and I'll be like, okay, whatever, Rob. I don't know.
Oh, that is
that.
good.
That's great that even as, you know, that people who are in the movie don't always know the answers. I love that, because that just keeps this movie open for interpretation really forever, which I think is the best way to play it. You know, instead of there being the definitive guide to, I know you're in there, it's kind of like, nah, it's kind of open to interpretation. I think that's great art when it comes down to it. It's not just a scary movie. This is a real piece of cinematic art. And, this is the best. We both have said this is the best independent horror film we've seen this year, and we watch a lot of movies, and that's saying a lot. So.
Incredible. Thank you.
Is it okay to ask what your thoughts are on the ending? Obviously, we don't want to give too much away. We can give a little bit away, but how do you sort of see it? Because I'd be fascinated, because obviously you played the character, Chloe, so I'm fascinated to sort of see how you read it.
I side more on the paranormal side of things, is what I talk about with Chloe. She does have, as from my, like, I'm saying it from, like, she's not faking it. She does have the condition, but there's also something more going on, is how I play it and how I tend to think of it.
Interesting.
There's some more to Chloe than what's going on. Because that was the more fun choice, I think, for me. And then if I talk to Rob, he'd just be like, yeah, do what you're doing. I was like, that's not giving me an answer. But, like, dude, I love you, but that's not giving me an answer.
Oh, wow. So he really left you to you to interpret it how you saw fit. That's pretty cool. That's great. Because we love what you came up with, because you left us guessing too. You left us guessing too, which, Robert knew what he was talking about when he told you, just do you.
Yeah,
just be a creep.
I got like a thumbs up from him, then I was like, all right, cool, I'm doing okay.
Was that also the same for was it Will and Karen, isn't it? I think Karen. Karen Lee. Was that? Did they sort of get the same sort of advice from Robert to sort of know, I like what you're doing, keep the way you're doing it. I'm not going to tell you everything. I want you to sort of develop the character as well.
Yeah, he definitely gave us all of us, a lot of freedom on definitely our acting choices, and his direction really came from like the angle that he wanted, or like sometimes the most direction that he would get from me would be change your face or don't blink. That's a lot, but he gave a lot. Him and Will are really close. They've like known each other for years, so their friendship's really cool. So they work very interesting together too, where they have their own like shorthand because they know each other so well.
Oh wow!
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of it was just Rob seeing what we were doing, and he would tweak it, but really he left it up to us a lot.
Wow.
Okay. Well, that's fascinating. That's absolutely fascinating. So is there, have you got sort of much lined up sort of currently, that you want to sort of, let the world know about?
Yeah, I got to work earlier this year on a really cool project called Diminuendo. It's a new sci-fi film starring Richard Hatch and Chloe Dykstra. And it's about this director who, his girlfriend is like a huge actress, and she kills herself. And a company comes to him with a life-size robot of his deceased girlfriend and says, make the movie of her life, here's your lead. And gives him the robot to be the star of the film.
Wow.
It's a really trippy movie. Yeah, and I got to play the younger version of the lead of Chloe's character. So I came in for a little bit. But that one, there's a teaser out on Vimeo for it, and it looks really cool. So I'm excited to see when that one comes out.
Oh,
definitely.
That is absolutely fantastic. I love the idea of that story.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Yeah, we'll be reviewing that. We'll be watching that.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
It does. Do you have a dream role? Is there like any kind of role that you want to play that you haven't played yet, or a kind of role that you like to play again and again?
I love the creepy girl role. I would do that again in a heartbeat. I don't really have, like, a dream role. It's just kind of, like, I want to play everything. Like, I feel like I haven't scratched the surface yet, so I'm like, just everything. Anything that I can get my hands on.
Okay. What about a dream co-star? Because you're going to be big, I already know. So, like, you're going to be able to pick your co-star. Female, male, whatever. Like, any dream co-stars you got lined up in your imagination that are going to come true?
Cate Blanchett. I want to work with her so badly.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh, she's wonderful.
Yeah, I want to play
wonderful.
modern. That would be the coolest thing.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, if I can work my magic to make that ever happen, that's what I want to do.
So it's a small. Hey, you know what? Entertainment's a small world. You'd be surprised. So I could see that happening for you.
Is there basically you're at the stage where you've just seen every single one of her films?
Yes.
Okay.
My dad pretty much raised me on Lord of the Rings, so it started with Galadriel for me with Kate, and then I kind of just was like, anything that she did, I just devour. And now that I'm more into studying acting and stuff, it's watching her films and seeing the choices that she makes and like studying it from an actor perspective as well as a fan perspective.
Cool. That's a good role model. Yeah, that's a good role model. And what's her favorite performance? What's your favorite performance of Cate Blanchett's?
Oh, I'm like always like Galadriel because Lord of the Rings. That one. I love Carol most recently with Rooney Mara. That was an incredible film that she just did. That was last year.
Cool.
That one's amazing. Anything she does is just like out of this world.
Awesome.
It's she's actually one of my favourites, I have to admit. I think she's great. I think she's absolutely great. But I think she's wonderful the way that she can just play so many different roles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
You know,
way to look up to. Yeah.
Which is just, that is really, really cool. So, but the other thing too, I had a question just went out of my brain. I should explain to everybody. Velvet knows, but nobody else knows. I am down with the flu at the moment, so I'm actually living on lots of different tablets and
that was me
drinking.
Last week.
I know,
hilarious. I gave it to you through the phone.
Yes, yes.
That was me last week, and now it's like now we got the roles reversed. So actually, I wanted to ask really quick because, like I said, you came on a really unusual episode because after we say goodbye to you, we're going to be talking about some horrible, terrible movies tonight. So what do you have a movie that you go, oh my gosh, that's the worst movie I've ever seen, or a movie that you just can't stand? Like, we'd love to hear what, if you say don't watch this movie, what would be the movie that you tell people do not go see?
It's a horror film. It's called
Whoops, I'm sorry, can you say that again?
It's called Eden Lake. It's just disgusting. And
really?
Yeah,
really?
I do not recommend. Like, it's truly like just. I watched it with some friends, and it was like we were like never again, ever.
Oh,
and I've had that talk to other people, and they're like, "Yeah, it's the most disgusting movie I've ever seen." So it's just like,
ew. Oh my goodness! Well, we might have to line it up for next year because I can't handle doing another worst movie ever special more than once a year. But I'm going to add that one to the list. Yeah, I'm going to put it next year. Next year worst.
And can I just apologise to everybody because I had to cough then because of my flu, and I just muted the adverts rather than myself. So I think I just coughed over the air. So if everybody heard that, I'm really, really sorry. It's terribly unprofessional.
I love our show. It's the best ever. It's authentic. It's
don't do a podcast if you're ill. It's just but what I was it's all come back to me now. Sorry. What I was going to say, Grainne, is that you're talking about Cate Blanchett. She actually went to school with my sister.
Oh, really?
Yes, she's an MLC girl, and actually went to school with my sister. So there's one of those things. What is it? So many degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
that's very cool.
That's so.
That's so cool.
Well, my mother actually has I can't remember what the book is, but it's an old library book from MLC, and for some unknown reason, it never got returned back to the school. And my mother still has it because the last person to borrow it was Cate Blanchett. Right, so it's actually got the signature on it, and I think my mother is just hanging on to it as a retirement fund.
That's awesome.
Like, catch it in.
Oh, dearie me. So is there one thing I did sort of really love that you said though was that the idea that if you haven't done it, you'd like to try it. Because I know when we had Eileen Daly on a number of podcasts ago, she was saying exactly the same thing, and that is that if I haven't tried that role, I still want to do it because I want to do everything. And I sort of thought, I'm really impressed that you've got that same attitude. You know, it's like, haven't done that yet, so yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I like acting. You get to live like so many lives because you can have the different experiences of things that you would never normally have if you weren't an actor. And then you're like, oh yeah, I can go do this and try everything. So it's really got a lot to do. A lot to do.
Well, it's only just started, so and I can see some big things. I think we just ask that when you're on, I don't know, whatever is the equivalent. Who's the big talk show host in America these days? Is it is it Jay Leno or someone or?
No, it's whoever she wants to be on.
Yeah, no, Ellen's really big.
Ellen, yes. Well, when you get your own, when you get to be invited on the Ellen show, just remember, give us a shout out.
I will do that. Yeah, this is like my first official interview thing as an actor, so this is really cool.
Oh, cool! We're so flattered that you gave us your time. And that's awesome. And
you ran into the unprofessionalism of us, which.
Yeah, it's going to be funny because future interviews are going to last 2 minutes, and they're going to be like, okay, we already sent you your questions in advance. We hope you rehearsed them. Okay, are you ready? Okay, let's go. Okay, that was fun. That was great. We'll see you next time.
That sounds terrifying.
Rather than us just bumbling around and me coughing and sneezing into the microphone because I've got the flu. So, but anyway, but look, we really did appreciate you coming on. Actually, it was great to talk to you, and we just thought your performance in I Know You're In There was so good, so creepy, and just wanted to thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You guys have said such nice things. So
we can't wait to see your upcoming performances because, like I said, you have quite a few things coming out, and you're going to be busy, and we're going to be watching everything. And we're going to be shout out to Grainne.
Awesome.
So
thank you.
make sure you watch her new movie. And, So, is there anything you'd like to plug? Social media, upcoming projects, etc. Go for it.
Sure, I actually it's the Christmas season, so I have a Christmas movie that's been playing for the last 3 years. It's called 12 Dog Days Till Christmas.
Yes.
And it's airing tomorrow night on the Up channel again, so that starts that season rotation of there. So there's dogs, and it's Christmas, and it's Reginald Bell Johnson is in it too, so if that strikes your fancy, check it out.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Okay. And do you have any social media that your fans can follow you on and get to know more about you?
I'm on Twitter at Grainne McDermott, GraimCDermott. And then I'm also on Instagram, and my username is Grainne McDermott spelled backwards. TTOM.
Oh God.
So it's TTOMREDCMENNIARG.
Wow, I don't think I could spell my name backwards.
No,
I'm going to have to practice that. That's awesome. Okay, cool.
That's pretty cool.
Movie Show already follows you on Twitter, so we'll definitely follow you on Instagram as well, where we post GIFs and movie posters and just all good shenanigans going on there. So you can look for a little follow from us soon, too.
I will. I'll follow you guys back.
Yay!
Brilliant.
I'm on Insta.
So, no, look, it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you. It's been great to hear some of the, the little insights from, I Know You're In There and some of the interests, that you've got and so forth. And actually, just before we go, though, you've got a huge love affair with books, don't you?
With orcs?
Sorry, it's books. Sorry, it's my.
Sorry, that was so funny.
The last thing you probably need right now is talking to an Australian who can't speak properly because he's so choked up with stuff.
I was going back to Lord of the Rings, and I was like, okay, yeah, orcs. No, books, yes.
Okay, what kind of books do you like to read? Sorry, that was entertaining.
Oh dear,
that was really good. Yeah, I have right behind me in my room right now. Actually, I have 3 huge bookshelves that make a wall of books. It's kind of an obsession.
Okay.
That's cool. That's cool, especially since some people think that books are a dying art form as we become more and more digital. So no Kindle, no electronic books for you. You're still doing
I do
the
have
paperback,
a Kindle.
hardback. Okay.
Yeah, I do have a Kindle, but I use a lot of hardback and paper book. Back is my faves. I read pretty much everything from like horror novels to YA novels to classics, anything in between. It's a lot.
That's good, because I mean that's only going to help you with your acting too, because you're going to have all those different perspectives and feel all those different emotions, and you can use that for fuel for all your upcoming projects and auditions.
That's been my dad's. Oh, sorry. I was like, that's been my dad's most advice to me: is read everything you can and write everything down. Is what he's told me like my whole life, and now he always reminds me with acting. He's like, read everything you can, write everything down.
There you go. See, you heard it here, folks. Read a book.
Read a book.
Read a book. Read a book and write it down.
It's actually, because that reminds me. There was an Englishman. He was quite famous during a war, and when he retired, he became a writer. That's the way he sort of kept himself employed, and. What he actually does now is he actually writes a lot of sort of, war stories and this sort of stuff. And when he was asked, why do you only write about that subject? I mean, yes, you know about it, but isn't there anything else you want to, talk about? And his response was that, yeah, but you don't quite understand what I'm doing. I'm taking a genre, or I'm taking something which is reading, which is now very uncool for young men who are, let's say, 14 years old. And I'm giving them something that forces them to read.
Yeah.
And I sort of thought, wow, that's really interesting. So, the more we read, it's one of those arts, as you were saying, Velvet, we're sort of starting to lose.
Absolutely. No, I mean, so many people say, I hate to read, I don't want to read. People don't want to watch, films that are in a language that's foreign to them because they don't want to read the subtitles. And it's such a shame, because reading is also a thought process, and you're working that thought muscle, and, you want to keep that muscle in shape,
Yeah. What I always say to people when they're like, oh, I don't read. And I'm like, well, then you haven't found the right book that then has made you want to read, because it just takes that one that you can't put down, and then you're hooked back in again.
Well, just finally, then, Grainne, is there a book which you have found you have just read so many times, it's either in bits and pieces right now, it's got notes written all over it, or you've actually had to go off and buy your fifth copy because they keep falling apart? Is there one particular book which just for you couldn't survive without?
I have two. I have the one from my childhood, which is called The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. And it's like this almost like a murder mystery solving thing. And it was the first book that I carried everywhere with me. So that one is like dog-eared, and the cover's kind of ripped, and the pages are off, but I like keep it protected. And then in my adult life is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I just love that book. I think I have like 3 copies of it now.
Nice.
That I just love. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, we want to thank you so much for coming on, and just remember, you've got an open invitation anytime, and hopefully I won't be ill next time, so I do apologise for that.
Oh, no worries. Thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun.
Excellent.
No, it's
much.
been great fun. It's been great fun. All right, we're just going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back.
And I would sit there and play their albums in the album player all the time.
In the album player?
The Only Funny to Us podcast, with brand new episodes every Monday night at 8 at onlyfunnytous.com.
It's that time of the podcast. I think you know what I mean. It's the mini movie review. Yes, it is that time of the show again, the mini movie review, where we talk about a short film. And this week, of course, is no exception. And what have we got this week, Velvet?
Okay, so this week we have Singularity. So this is a mini movie or a short film. This was actually released last year, just about a year ago, and it was a Kickstarter project. So the overall budget of this, and they did reach their Kickstarter fund evidently, and that's how this was funded. So they originally requested a goal of $7,000, but people were so excited about this short film project that they ended up pledging almost $11,000 to shoot this short. So
wow.
It's actually a pretty impressive little short. Yeah, it's only 9 minutes long. It's action-packed. It pulls you right in. As always, we can't say too much about the story because it is a short and we don't want to ruin it for you. So I'm just going to go with their little synopsis here. It says, in the midst of a war between humans and sentient androids, a Delta Force team must battle a dangerous enemy to rescue the U.S. president. So sounds kind of like, I'm going to be honest, the storyline sounds a little generic, but you know, at the moment you watch this short, it is action packed. And there were literally like one scene where I'm watching it and I literally like went, what the fuck? Like,
yeah,
it literally grabbed my attention for a moment. Like, whoa. So yeah, it's noisy, it's busy, it's loud. And this has really cool special effects. This is definitely a CGI project, computer generated images, but they're really well done, especially on a budget of $10,000. And even the acting, I mean, there's, a lot of people in this that have very, short amount of screen time and they have to, get a lot done in a very short amount of time to tell this story. But even I thought the actors were even on point for, what little screen time they each had. So what did you think of this short, Warren?
Look, I'm in two moods about this. Is it a sales piece for their CGI capability, or, is it just something that they made to try to sell something else? I mean, there's no real story. It's just the idea of these special forces soldiers trying to save the president in a mythical future. I don't know. I wasn't sold on it, to be truthful.
Okay, that's interesting. So I'm looking at their Kickstarter, which, like I said, this has been well overfunded. This is no longer, an up-to-date thing. They've made it. It's done. So it even says here that their ultimate goal was to produce a kick-ass sci-fi action film in the vein of The Terminator and Aliens. So they were saying this is a big, ambitious film. It's action-packed, and the bar has been set high for high independent short films. I mean, this is ultimately what they wanted to do. They just wanted to pack as much action as they could into a short amount of time using special effects. Boom, bam, bah! Did we wow you? I mean, that really was it. I mean, this didn't have much of a story. This was all about, hey, look, the effects, and hey, there is a tiny bit of a story, and oh, what do you think? So it's if you like to watch stuff blow up, you like to see people fighting the enemy, you want to see if they can rescue the president. So it's a short film.
It's I mean it's very reminiscent, of course, of what is it, Starship Troopers and you sort of movies along those lines. Obviously, they're set a little bit further in the future, but it's still that that idea. I mean, just in this case, we've got basically artificial intelligent robots rather than aliens. But otherwise, it really could be Battlefield Los Angeles. What was that from a few years ago? I just for me personally, I just want a little bit more than people running around the screen, yelling at each other, shooting things, and that's it. There was no real. I mean, I will give the movie this though. At the end, there is a twist. Okay, which I thought without that, I just would have said, "Oh, this is just total bollocks. This is crap." But with that little twist at the end, I sort of thought, okay, I see what you're trying to do now, but I just would have liked a little bit more development rather than just people shooting each other. It's I don't know. It's just my opinion. We can't all.
I totally get where you're coming from. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, and I'm not going to disagree. I do like the twist at the end, definitely. And I have to admit, I think if I weren't from the generation I'm from now, the video game generation, as I'm going to say, I don't think I would appreciate this as much as I do. And that's simply because look at the fucking video games that are popular right now, Call of Duty, etc. Yeah. This is basically what all these games are, is you're just thrown into like, the front line. You have enemies coming at you from every angle. You're watching friends die, blood, guts, bullets, loud explosions everywhere. And this is what it reminds me of, just a modern day video game in film format. So if you're a fan of that, nonstop action, you can definitely check out this short. You can go to thebicyclemonarchy.com, and they have Singularity right on the front page. You can click the play button and watch it right then and there. So thebicyclemonarchy.com, and there they also have links to their other social media if you want to give them a follow. And that's it for this week, the mini movie review, unless you have something else you want to say.
No, I just wanted to, I suppose I don't want people to sort of say, gee, Warren really canned that. I have to admit, the CGI in this is brilliant. In fact, the CGI is actually better than I've seen in a lot of mainstream movies.
Exactly.
It really is.
Exactly.
I just want a little bit more, I just don't want to watch highlights or clips from a video game. I want it to be a short film, So yeah, that was really, I suppose, where I'm coming from. But no, I must admit, the special effects and so forth in this movie, wow, they're fantastic. They really are.
I was impressed. Like I said, again, for a $10,000 budget, I thought this was pretty well done. So yeah, and it's a very short. It's only like 9 minutes runtime. Yeah, and. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's definitely, it's worth 9 minutes of your time if you want to check it out, on your coffee break, or pound an energy drink, take antihistamine, take some NyQuil, it'll keep you awake.
Give me more drugs. I need more drugs. I need more drugs. I'm slowly working my way through this show. We should actually say that, in many ways, I mean, I, for one anyway, really do need to apologise to Grainne for, just, I am so sick at the moment. And,
you know what? You're a professional. You push through, you cough occasionally, and you keep going. It's all good.
Yes, I did. Come on, it's just sort of what film are we talking about today? I don't know, and I don't give a fuck. It's crap. Whatever. No.
Actually, it's like, no, tonight it's a very short show. After we interview our guest, Grainne, we're saying goodnight. Bye, folks.
Warren told everybody to fuck off, and he hit pause.
So I think we're done tonight.
No. But no, look, definitely check this. I think check this one out. If you like, sci-fi, action, combat, video games, all of this sort of thing, then yeah, absolutely, I agree. I think you'll really like this. But if you want something which is story driven, you're not going to like what it is. Right. So I think for a lot of people will love it, and a lot of people will hate it.
Well, also, just on a quick note for me, what stood out about this short for me was just what is capable on a short budget with people who have talent. And I was just like I said, because the acting, what very little there is pretty on point. I believe them. They're believable. And then, like I said, the special effects, the CGI in this are like, wow.
Yeah.
For a short film, this is really wow CGI compared to, all of our, Sharktopusses and all the other fun movies that we love that heavily employ CGI, and they're not believable at all.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the CGI in this, I mean, the robots, for argument's sake,
my God.
and all the helicopters and so forth, which are, they're all obviously CGI. They did not actually fly helicopters in this movie.
Unless they had a friend in the military that was like, yeah, we can give you a few loners for your little movie.
Yes. It was, the special effects were better than anything the Asylum puts out.
Oh, totally.
I mean, yeah, so no, it really is good. Yeah, in that sense. So thumbs up on that CGI. It was great.
So I'd love to see if they came up with a full length project with a story. I would definitely, put my money down to grab a ticket and some popcorn to see that. Definitely.
Oh, look, I think if this movie was expanded to an hour and a half. And then you would actually able then to put in, character development, twists of the story, how, what's meant to be quite simple turns out to be very complicated, and all of that sort of thing. I think, wow, you'd actually have a really good movie. It's just that the problem because it's so short, you don't have the ability to explore those options. But, I'd love to see this turned into an hour and a half.
Yeah,
I think I'd really liked it a lot more if that was the case.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so that's our mini movie review.
Excellent. All right, so quick break, and we'll be back with, well, technically our first movie of the podcast. I can't believe we've been going 50 minutes, and it's the first movie. But anyway, we'll be right back.
I worked in the garden center, and a lady came in, and we had the flowers or in the plants, and she asked me how much the chlamydias were.
The Only Funny to Us podcast, available now at onlyfunnytous.com.
Well, we're back, and now I think we mentioned on last week's podcast that we were going to actually bring up two choices, one from Velvet and one from myself, which we really think should be classified, or at least be put into classification, as two of the worst movies ever made. So now we're not actually saying these are the two worst movies ever made, but we think that they need to go into the combined psyche, the thinking of the population, as to, what is the worst movie ever made, and these are definitely contenders. So the one we're going to start off with is from this year, 2016, called Darkweb. And this movie, all I can say is that I had such high hopes for this, and walked away thinking, really? That's where the money went? That was the best you could do? What did you think, Velvet?
Oh, man. Okay, so the whole thing got this thing started was the next movie review is because it was actually our social media. People on Twitter had DM'd us and tweeted us saying, hey, can you review this movie? I know a lot of people hate it, but we love it. And I was kind of like, oh, and a couple people requested it. And I was like, oh, my God, okay, we need to do that movie because I think that movie is the worst movie I'd ever seen before I ever saw The Room. And that's what sparked the whole discussion between us. So I was like, so, Warren, before you ever saw The Room, what was the worst movie you ever saw? And you said Darkweb. And for some reason, I thought this movie had come out from the 90s or maybe early 2000s.
Oh, okay.
I had no clue that this movie came out this year. And I was like, how on earth do you make a movie this fucking bad this year? So yeah, that's what I think about it. It fucking sucks.
It is horrible. Look, I'll just give you a bit of a rundown about what this steaming pile of refuse is all about. Unless, of course, somebody involved in the movie wants to come on the show and then
defend it.
And then basically I will say it's the best movie ever made. Okay, but until that happens. Anyway, so a brief rundown now. It's set in what we believe is meant to be Russia. And it's the story of a company called the Darkweb, who actually go and hunt down young women and then make them the prey in a sort of stalker hunter scenario where people pay money to come and hunt the woman down and then kill her. They then create a snuff movie, and of course they then sell it online via the dark web. And we all know what the dark web is, so it's where all that naughty stuff is on on the internet. So that's the basic story. The difference though with this movie is that they don't really get what they thought they were going to get. What they thought they were going to get was a very attractive young Russian peasant sort of woman, and she is gorgeous, I must admit.
Yeah.
But this time, this woman is actually prepared to fight back, which is not something that they were expecting. And so, of course, things go incredibly wrong. I think that sort of explains it, sort of quite briefly.
Right. I mean, the actual premise and story sound good. I was like, because I honestly, like, first I was like, oh, this came out this year. I was like, well, it can't be that bad. And then I kept thinking, well, maybe I'm watching the wrong movie, at first, because I was like, because just the whole premise, I'm like, this can't be that bad. I was like, this is a pretty cool storyline when you look at it. But then, you actually watch the movie, and I'm just like, oh, first off, I did not care about any of the characters in this movie, not even the, victims, because there was just no character development. There's just nothing that made me care anything about any of these people. Like, anytime somebody got killed, I didn't, I don't mean to sound like a sociopath, but I didn't care. I was just like, oh, that person's dead. That person's dead. Oh, that one got killed. Like, there was no emotional connection whatsoever. There's not even surprise. There wasn't even enough build up that you're like, oh, I hope they kill that guy. Oh, he's so mean. Oh, he's so awful. Oh, I hope that person died. Like, nothing. Absolutely elicited not one emotional response from me when watching this movie, except for disgust and annoyance and boredom.
It's yes. Oh my goodness. But the one thing I will say for this movie, though, for a bit of a saving grace, is that the ending is interesting. You won't guess the ending to this movie. What actually happens at the end, you're going to say, is that where they went? What did you think of that film? Did you think that was cool, or did you think that was just stupid?
I thought, this movie, first off, the movie is boring, the entire movie. And then, all of a sudden, the last, 10 minutes of the movie turns into, what the fuck? I'm just like, wait, what? All chaos just breaks out. It makes no sense to me. And I didn't like the ending, but I did like the movie, so I don't think they could have done anything to redeem itself by the time I got to the end of the movie. There was only one saving grace. Oh, well, not even a saving grace. There was only one interesting, fun thing about this movie, and that was Danny Glover.
Oh, yes. Now, we should point out to everybody, Danny Glover is probably the only person in this movie that you will know. Although, in saying that, I'm sure that there will be some, because we do have some listeners in France, and so I think you probably will have seen some of the cast before. But I think for everybody else, Danny Glover's the only person you'll actually recognise. And should I just say, he really did Skype his role in, didn't he?
Oh, totally. They paid him to Skype. They recorded the Skype performance. And this is how appreciative they knew their movie was a piece of shit, because they didn't say, co-starring Danny Glover or special appearance by Danny Glover. It says in the credits, with the exceptional participation of Danny Glover. They knew their movie was a piece of shit, so they were thanking him highly for being in this movie. And funnily enough, really the 5 seconds that he's on screen are the best thing about the whole movie, because he's just so skilled and believable. It's just like, no matter how shitty the script is and the story is and the circumstances and the fact that he's Skyping, video conferencing his performance in, it's still good.
Well, the one thing I have to admit that I did think was quite funny was that when let's say, the victims start to take back the park and actually fight back against their oppressors, and the brother of our main heroine, who's running around being hunted, he breaks into the into this sort of place where they I'd see. Oh God, I can't even get my words out today. I'm so sorry.
I know what you're trying to say. It's kind of like a television control center where they're streaming and filming everything. And
so anyway, so he breaks in there carrying what is actually a toy rifle, and anyway, he breaks in there, and then he shoots a whole heap of people, and then he says, turn that guy off, and it's Danny Glover, on the big screen. And so we see Danny Glover there doing all these hand motions, but we can't hear what he's saying. And
they muted him?
Yes, they muted him. But in the end, it actually is quite funny, because do you remember the movie Team America?
Yeah.
And do you remember when he's been chased through the streets of Cairo and he's meant to have a special signal where he just waves his arms in the air, which means I'm in trouble? And that's what Danny Glover's like. He's just there and you just see him in the background screaming and waving his arms and, oh, God. And that was honestly, I thought, the best bit of the whole film.
Oh man, I'm going to be honest. I actually, the last 10 minutes of the movie, I started nodding off, and I was like, wow, I can't even finish watching this movie because I'm falling asleep. This is how fucking bad this is. People are shooting and there's stuff going on and it's failing to hold my interest. So I actually had to turn it off and take a nap. And when I woke up, I was like, okay, I'm going to go watch the last 10 minutes now. And I was like, yep, still sucks.
I know the fight scenes are absolutely appalling. I mean, to me, it just seems like there was nobody on set who could teach them how to do the fight scenes.
No, the fight choreography was horrible. Yeah. It was so boring. And it was just so repetitive and not necessary. And what did you think of all the actual assassins? Because this was kind of like, this reminded me for half a moment of the Hostel franchise, where that's what it is. Rich people killing, or rich people buying people to kill, basically. And this is kind of what this was, except for this is more of an actual hunting atmosphere where there's a bunch of people that are paying to hunt, and you get to be, I don't know, do you win money? I don't even remember, because I was
it was I think it was
this movie.
It was a reasonable amount of money. It was like $10 million or something, I think. That you could win, but that was the thing. Of course, the desire for the money and having the kill means that, of course, they all start turning on each other.
Right.
Until there's there's nobody left in the end. There's nobody left to actually hunt our female star down, because they've all killed each other off.
Right. And what did you think of the actual assassins? Because, anytime any of them spoke, it was just annoying. They're not saying no good dialogue, nothing of value to add to the story, just dumb shit. One guy's doing cocaine because, it keeps him pumped up and excited, and he says he performs better when he's high, and I'm just like, I don't know. I just was not feeling any of those characters.
Well, there's meant to be two groups which are meant to be couples, sort of male and female. And, you do not believe that they're meant to be a couple. It looks more like they just met each other 5 minutes ago.
Right.
You really don't believe it. The two brothers who are in a team, they may be a little bit more believable, but it's still pretty bad. Also, there is a little bit of CGI in this, like all the explosions. Mm-hmm. They didn't actually use real pyrotechnics. The explosions are basically CGI, and God, they're bad. They look like CGI from 20 years ago. Well, not, at least 15 years ago. It is just, it is terrible. And even though our cast are stunning, everybody in this movie, especially...
Yeah, it's an attractive cast. Yeah, it is an attractive cast.
I mean, the sister and the brother, when they are captured and they're sent off to this, hunting lodge, basically, to be filmed, they are stunning. I mean, he is just muscle upon muscle, and he's got that real, rough Eastern European... that probably girls just faint, when they see him walk down the street. And then his sister is this gorgeous, athletic, sort of like Russian blonde. And, and once again, it's like, oh, somebody catch me as I faint. They are stunning, but unfortunately, that's where it ends. The acting doesn't really follow their looks.
Not at all. There was a sex scene in this movie, and I was just like, okay, it was basically like, okay, so we got the beautiful blonde running around getting hunted by a bunch of crazy people, and like they're keeping her brother alive, and they're kind of telling her, okay, if you don't, participate in this, we're going to kill your brother right away. So they keep the brother, this big muscle-bound dude, tied to a chair for 3/4 of the movie, and one of the women that's basically holding him captive decides she's going to have sex with him while he's tied to this chair.
Yes,
And I'm kind of like, okay, hold on. This guy saw these people, spoiler alert, this guy, well, actually he didn't see it because he got knocked out, but basically he knows that these people killed his father. So are you still going to have sex with a woman that you know is partly responsible for the death of your father? I don't know.
It's more than that. I mean, one, these people killed their father. Two, they're trying to kill his sister.
Right.
Three, they'll kill him at a moment's notice.
Right.
And it's like, oh, absolutely. Now I'm really turned on at this point.
Yeah. Let me get my rip my pants off and have your way with me. Yeah. I hated that section. That annoyed me so bad. I was like, really?
And it didn't. I mean, apart from maybe trying to show how evil the people who ran this organisation were, I can't think of any reason why it was even in there.
Yeah, and it wasn't a sexy sex scene at all.
No.
I mean, you could tell the actress was trying not to show her boobs, and I don't know. It
was more of that convenient sort of like, we'll just put the pot plant over here so you can't, it was very, very bad. And the other thing too is we spoke of briefly the toy guns. Now, I know that in some movies they often use fake guns, toy guns,
right?
Because there are a lot of very highly accurate replicas out there in the world, which they can use. But in this case, these are quite seriously just toys. They don't even look like the weapons they're meant to be portraying. It's just terrible. Absolutely terrible. And here's the other thing too. I wondered if you could explain this to me, Velvet.
Uh-huh.
And it is our movie starts with these evil people from the Darkweb organization trying to, find this young woman and kidnap her and take her back. And but they do it by driving over the country, through the countryside in tanks. Like military tanks.
They even run over a car and like crush the car with the tank.
And so
it was very subtle, subtle.
Wouldn't it be better just to sneak in at night and kidnap her? Well, they're driving around in tanks, and then it's meant to be sort of set in Russia,
right?
But when they're driving to this farm, where these peasant family are living, they say, "Oh, quick, NATO tank." And they shoot and destroy the NATO tank.
I know.
Wouldn't that
I was like, that's a declaration of war.
I know.
Right?
And also, what's the NATO tank doing in Russia?
Oh, my God. This movie's so stupid.
I'm not trying to, my only thought is that maybe it wasn't actually in Russia. It was meant to be in some mythical Eastern European country.
That's what I wasn't 100% sure it was Russia, but I definitely thought it was supposed to be, Eastern Bloc somewhere. But just the acting, the story, the special effects, just everything was horrible. I hated that I watched this movie.
But the thing is, it has to be Russia because they keep talking about paying everybody in rubles.
Oh, that's right. Well,
right.
Yeah, I guess it was Russia.
Okay,
then.
So that's the thing. No one else uses the ruble. So, and it's not exactly like the ruble is a currency of choice internationally. It's not like sort of saying it's the UK pound or it's the US dollar.
Right.
It's like the Vietnamese dong. It's not the Russian ruble is not exactly your first choice of payment. Well, it wouldn't be mine anyway,
No, I agree.
So look, there's so many faults and all the rest of it. But in saying that, there's a bit of eye candy, but that's really about it.
Oh, but not enough for you to actually waste an hour and a half of your life watching it? No. No. There's too many movies that have eye candy that are worth watching that still are like bad movies, but they're watchable. This isn't even watchable. I really didn't enjoy this at all.
Well, I think that's the reason why we put it up there as one of the possibilities of the worst film ever made. Because I'll be honest with you, I had really high hopes of this when I saw the cover art.
I did too. I was like, this can't be that bad. And plus, I do like the genre of, rich people paying to kill people, because that's always intriguing to see how evil people are, and they're just like that bored. It's like, really? It's like you just want to be able to, you can buy everything else, so why not buy human life and destroy human life at your whim? Like, I mean, that's an intriguing, storyline. And, Hostel's done it. There's this really cool movie called The Tournament, which is a bunch of, assassins that are basically hired to kill each other, and whoever comes out in the end gets like $10 million.
Yes, I've seen that, yeah.
So I do like this genre, but this one just fucking sucks. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's boring, the acting's bad, and actually, for me, the last 10 minutes of the movie just make no fucking sense all of a sudden. I'm like, what?
No,
like all of a sudden, Mr. tied to the chair couldn't escape the entire movie, but after he gets fucked by the evil woman, now all of a sudden he can break free from the chair. I mean, I just
I know.
I just don't get this movie.
No, and it's look, there's just so many faults, and it's look. It's up there,
and then they killed one of the fucking producers, because I'm like, wait, whoa. Because they had the whole, thing, like they have like the military on the outskirts of, where all this shit's taking place. And they're like, okay, if anybody's trying to leave, kill them. Yes. But then like at one point, because everything's gone awry, and one of the actual producers, the one that's like running the show, he's trying to escape because he's going to get killed by, people. And the military know him. They know it's him. And he's like, he even says, hey, it's me, it's so-and-so. And they're like, kill him. I'm like, whoa, wait, you're going to kill the producer? This is the guy that makes the product that gets you paid, and that's why you have a job in the first place. You just killed your employer.
Well, here's the thing, though. See, I don't think that the couple who run Darkweb, the company Darkweb, I don't think that they are actually the bosses. I got the impression that the boss is Danny Glover.
No, you're right.
So they're actually acting under the orders of Danny Glover, which is that nobody can ever escape from this place because nobody can ever know about it.
Okay.
But
they still kill the producer.
Yeah, I know. I suppose he could talk,
The content creator.
But the idea that, if you don't want to raise attention to the fact that you've got this club where you hunt down young women and create slasher movies, maybe you shouldn't drive around the country in tanks. That might actually just bring up a little bit of,
suspicion.
Yeah, I don't know. But as we were saying, the artwork for the cover artwork, when I first saw it, I thought, this looks really interesting.
Yeah.
But no, it was not to be.
No, don't watch it, people. Don't waste your time. And also our beautiful eye candy heroine, she gets killed in the end. She survives everything. Everybody dies. She survives. And she's walking down the road, and the military...
Oh, you're not going to give it away, are you?
Yeah, I don't want to watch this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally giving it away. Don't watch this piece of shit. She gets ran over by a car. So there, you don't need to watch it. So we saved you an hour and a half of your life. Oh, I have another question really quick, actually. So that was the thing. So she's in the forest, and like the people are starting to, hone in on her, and finally one guy catches her, and he starts this whole thing about, I'm going to rescue you, we're going to rescue your brother. Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, he's like, okay, I'm going to kill everybody, and I'm going to kill you last, the girl he saved. And I'm like, what? Yes. I don't get it.
Because he's actually a psychopath. And so... Maybe you might have just drifted off a little bit when it's explained, because I think I did. Because what's meant to happen is that the person who bought the ticket to come on the hunt, that guy kills and takes his identity.
Oh, that's right. I was awake. I just forgot because Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's a lot of forgettable stuff in this film.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I did. I watched it and I forgot it because I'm just like, this is terrible. No, so yeah, I totally forgot. So, well, that was the thing, though. I mean, but all these people are already fucking psychopaths. But somehow this guy escaped from fucking jail.
Yes.
And he manages to kill a millionaire that's on his way to this like human hunting, event. And what? How? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. How on earth did he find a millionaire and know, oh, he's got a ticket?
Yes,
which means kill him and take his ticket. What?
Because that's the whole point. Because that goes against everything that Danny Glover says, which is absolutely nobody can find out about this place. So every single person gets
total discretion.
That's right. Every single person gets killed off to actually save the to protect this place. But so how did our psychopath know it was even going on in the first place? So
I don't get it.
No. Look, there's really
don't watch this.
No. It's not. And the other thing too, of course, it was filmed in Morocco, and which is interesting because they're using Morocco to be Russia, and. I'm just not too sure that it sort of works. Anyway. So, all right. Well, my voice is about to give out Velvet. So, should we rate this one?
Absolutely. I'm giving this one, let's see, on our Eric Roberts scale, a possible 5 Erics. I'm going to give this a -1 Erics.
Negative. Wow.
-1 Erics out of a possible 5 Erics. Do not watch this ever. Not even out of curiosity. Don't do it.
Okay, that's pretty bad. I didn't know we could do negatives, but then again, I gave Sheena 5 million points, didn't I, out of 5? So, anything's possible. Okay, I'll give it half an Eric. And the reason why I give it half an Eric is because our main star in this movie is so hot that I would honestly marry her tomorrow if she asked. So I'm gonna give it half a point just for that.
And Danny Glover is in it, so I mean, I could have given it an even like lower negative, but Danny Glover's in it. But Danny Glover's in everything. -1.
He's in everything now. I mean, so somebody opens a tire recycling store and Danny Glover's there to open it. I mean, he's everywhere at the moment. I don't know what's going on with him.
You know what? I think he's just sold out. He's just like, fuck it. You want to pay me? I'll be there. You want to pay me? I'll be there. Well, good for him. Why not?
That's true. I mean, look, he's produced obviously such a huge body of work over his career. Right. And I mean, is it that he's in financial difficulties and he'll just do anything? Or is it that he's just sort of saying, look, people, this is just gravy and I'm just going to lap it up while I can?
I think so. I think he's okay. Yeah, I think he's just like, fuck it. Just having fun. It's like, and, it's kind of like paying it forward because he knows this was a shitty movie. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to, add a little bit of star power to it. And, a couple more people are going to watch it just because I'm in it. I'm not saying he's a megalomaniac or anything. Not at all. But I'm saying, he might just kind of be paying it forward. Just kind of
But he's in so many movies like over the last few years where his role is never more than about 3 or 4 minutes, and there's so many of them, So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. All right.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. What was our final Eric Roberts score for this one?
So that was wow. I had to actually grab a calculator from that. What is -1 plus 0.5?
-0.5. So -0.5. It comes out to. So
that's the lowest score we've ever given any movie. Let's see if our next movie can break that score in the same episode.
Well, we'll just take a quick break then, and we'll be back with our second contender for worst movie of all time. And and then I think we'd probably have to put up some honourable mentions at the same time as well.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So anyway, oh my God, before I hit the wrong mute button and start coughing again, we'll just quick break and we'll be right back.
We are just careening off the track.
This is going to be a long edit.
No, that's staying in there.
Okay.
The Only Funny to Us podcast with brand new episodes every Monday night at 8 at onlyfunnytous.com.
Well, we're back with the second of our contestants for the worst movies ever made. And this is an interesting one, to say the least. And it is from 2001, Freddy Got Fingered. Now, what was your thoughts behind this, Velvet? What made this your choice?
Oh, goodness. So before I ever saw The Room, I saw Freddy Got Fingered. And at the time I saw it, I thought it was the worst movie I had ever seen. And it was really painful, really difficult for me to watch this movie so that we could review it, because I'm like, okay, I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm a little older now. Maybe I'll feel differently about it. No, it's still terrible. It's still really bad. But you know what? But it's hard because this movie was made at a time when Tom Green, he directed it, he wrote it, and he stars in it. Tom Green is the Canadian comedian. This is at the height of his MTV fame, when, you loved his skits. He's just a funny, weird, eccentric guy. And we were all excited for him to be making a full-length movie. Turns out his style of humor is great for sketches and pranks, but not so much for a full-length movie. And because of that star power, because everybody loved his show at the time, there are quite a few well-known celebrities in this movie. So what do you think, Warren?
I suppose for anyone who hasn't seen this film, we should, because there will be some, there will be some. Very quick rundown is that, of course, it stars Tom Green. And he plays, Gord Brody, our main character.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Just that name is like Gord. What the fuck?
I know.
Okay.
And anyway, he wants to be an animator. So he goes off to Los Angeles, and that doesn't really work. But it's explained to him how or what he needs to do to become an animator. He goes back home and he starts to work on it. In the meantime, he meets Betty, who will become his girlfriend, and of course his continual run-ins with his father, Jim Brody, will lead him to do something, which is how the movie actually gets its name, where he will set up his brother, Freddy, claiming that Jim actually sexually assaulted his son by fingering him. So hence the name of the movie, Freddy Got Fingered. But most of the movie is basically about the very bad relationship between Tom Green and, of course, Rip Torn, who plays Jim Brody, and of course, his girlfriend, Betty, that's played by, Marissa...
Marissa Coughlan.
Yeah, that's right. And there, I suppose, that's where the major story goes with the conflicts there. My thoughts were... all I can really say is about Tom Green is that, I like Tom Green. I like a lot of the stuff he's done. He's been in Trailer Park Boys. Mind you, he's Canadian, so you sort of have to be in, Trailer Park Boys, don't you, I suppose? But one of my favourite shows of all time. But he reminds me a little bit of, do you remember from the 90s, the actor Pauly Shore?
Oh, goodness. I loved Pauly Shore.
Do you remember how...
I would say Tom Green is the NC-17 version of Pauly Shore.
Yeah. It's just, sometimes I just think that his humour's a little bit too simplistic. There's no real depth in it. But then again, I don't know, some of Canada's most famous comics, that's what they do. That's their shtick. It's So then I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's just being a fucking weirdo. He wants to just elicit a response, a reaction from people. So he just does gross, weird shit sometimes, and I'm just like,
and he does a lot. I mean, some of the things in this movie where he delivers a baby. Oh
my god!
And where he. To try to understand the animals that he wants to draw in his animations, he literally climbs inside the body of a deer. It's pretty gross, some of it. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, you know what? Whew, yeah, when I very first started watching this movie, I mean, just the way it starts, you're just like, oh, God, this is going to be a long movie, isn't it? Just like, it's showing some of his animations, and he's voicing the animations, and he's doing it Tom Green style. He's just saying weird, random shit, and he's kind of on the verge of crying, and you're just like, oh, goodness. And then he's skateboarding around the movie, which is actually kind of cool because he actually did that. He's actually an avid, or I don't know if he is so much anymore now that he's 45, but at the time he was an avid skateboarder. So it's pretty cool to kind of see him skateboarding around the movie. But then, just the road trip when he sees a stud horse with its dick out.
Oh, my God. And he goes off to masturbate the horse. I mean,
that's real. That's real.
Is that real?
He used to do that shit on his show. Oh. Yeah, that's real. He used to do that shit on his show. He wraps his hand around the horse's dick and he's squeezing it and shaking it. And he's all, I want to try the horsey. And I'm just like, oh, God, I can't. I'm glad I'm watching this alone. This is the kind of movie that if you were watching this with a family member, you'd be mortified. You'd be mortified with embarrassment. It's just so unpleasant. This is, this is not a first date movie. This is not a watch this movie with your mom movie. This is no.
But
oh my God! And then he jacks off an elephant. And it's
the elephant
all over his father, and I'm like, this movie's too much. I can't take it.
But one thing we should point out is, of course, a very, very small role, because it's only for maybe about 2 minutes, is Drew Barrymore in this. But of course, the thing is that Drew Barrymore is really only in this because she was, of course, married to Tom Green at the time. In the same way that Tom Green has a very small role in Charlie's Angels.
Right.
Which was at a similar time. But it's I can understand now, I mean, the more I see of Tom Green's work, why they were only married for 12 months.
They weren't even married that long. They were married
wasn't it?
Months. Oh, they were married 3 months. It's insane. So, I'm a woman. I'm a gossip. I have to know. So it turns out Drew Barrymore and Tom Green actually dated for a year and lived together for a year before they got engaged. After they got engaged, they stayed engaged for a year. After they got married for 3 months, and Tom Green filed for divorce, and he hasn't seen her since the divorce. So I don't know what happened. I was just like, wow, that was weird.
And it's very, very weird. The idea that, sort of Tom Green would leave Drew Barrymore, not the other way around.
I know. So I'm just like, wow, wonder what happened.
Yeah.
So, and they've always been very hush-hush about it. And I mean, I always got the impression at the time that they had literally just met, got married, and divorced. But they were together, a little over 2 years before they got married. And then they divorced after a couple months. So I was like, wow, I wonder what happened.
Wasn't there the famous story as well that when the house that they lived in burnt down, and there was they had this super wonder dog, which woke them up by knocking on their door, trying to wake them up. And the story was...
I forgot about that. I've heard about that.
And the story was sort of seen as being so ludicrous. It was parodied apparently on SNL, on Saturday Night Live.
I vaguely remember that. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I did hear about that. There was a very strange Hollywood relationship. Who knows what happens there? But, I mean, there's other celebrities in this movie, too. We got Eddie K. Thomas plays Freddy. You wouldn't recognize him when you see him. That was one of the boys from American Pie, the American Pie movies. Harlan Williams, whom I love. He's in one of my favorite comedy of all time. He's in There's Something About Mary, playing the crazy hitchhiker.
Yes, yep.
Playing the crazy hitchhiker. He's in this. Anthony Michael Hall, who, God, he was in the fucking Breakfast Club. I mean, he's been around forever.
Yep.
He's in this. Even Julie, is it Julie Haggerty? She was the mother in What About Bob?
I know.
Rip Torn's in this. I mean, there's a lot of stars in this movie, but the fucking movie itself is terrible.
Although I still have to admit that there were some scenes in this film where there were some things that were being done by Tom Green, and maybe I think it's just like Australians and Canadians have a reputation of having kind of a lot in common. You know what I mean? We have a lot in common. We're both sort of like the sister and brother of Britain, you know, and but we're the frontier countries, you know, and so we're sort of, you know, we're similar sizes, similar population. They're just cold, we're hot, sort of thing. I'm talking weather now. I'm not talking anything else. But it's like generally what I found is if you show an Australian Canadian comedy, they'll laugh their ass off. If you show a Canadian an Australian comedy, they'll laugh their ass off. Where quite often an American won't get it.
Okay.
But Canadians and Australians seem to get each other, you know, like we seem to, it's all, you know, that concept we get two people who sort of do that weird look at each other and just sort of go, yeah, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're saying. But there's another person in the room that has no idea what's going on.
Right.
And I think there's that sort of thing that goes on with Australia and Canada sometimes. And so I actually found some of the jokes he was doing in this, I actually really started to laugh. I actually really did find them funny.
Okay.
But I still think in saying that, it's still pretty crap. I mean, it still is pretty crap.
Yeah.
And
it's a bad movie.
You know, and it's pretty gross in parts. But then again, you know, look at some of the movies that, you know, we watch and love by, you know, what was it, Sacha Baron
Sacha Baron
Cohen. I can't speak properly at the moment. So
no, you got it. You know, it's a fucking Borat. And Bruno.
I mean, you look at the latest movie, you know, that he made, you know, where he has basically elephants doing bukkake on each other. So, I mean, the whole idea in this of Tom Green jerking off a horse is not really that much of a big deal anymore, you know?
Oh my God.
So, but
he did it first. It was the most
true. Yes, true.
No.
But I still think that the saving grace to this movie, though, is Rip Torn.
I was going to say I really liked Rip Torn in this movie. He actually, whenever I did actually laugh, it did happen a few times, it was Rip Torn making me laugh. I have to admit.
He plays the father so well.
Yeah, and he plays it really well. Like, no matter how shit the script was, he really gave it his all in this. He has really good screen presence. He's actually really fun to watch, and he actually makes me just laugh. And just the part where he actually chases Gordy all the way to to Hollywood, and you know, Gordy's trying to pitch his cartoons to Anthony Michael Hall, and you know, his dad comes busting in, and he's like getting ready to beat everybody up, and like he's running around the desk chasing him, and he's like, "Oh no, bad daddy, bad." I just, for some reason, that's the scene that makes me laugh. I'm like, oh my God, yeah. So I mean, this isn't as, I have to admit, this movie isn't as bad as I remembered it, but it's not easy to watch.
No, I mean,
for me, it's not easy to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I would say to a lot of people that, you know, if you like movies, you know, such as, what is it, Grimsby, Borat, you know, a lot of that sort of stuff, that sort of humor, then I think you will actually like many of the bits of this movie. But if you don't like that sort of humor, then you are going to sit back and just sort of say, what the fuck did I just watch? you know, so it's going to really depend so much on the individual. But I can understand why this movie has got cult status, because I can really see, I mean, I could totally get the idea of some 18-year-old stoners sitting in their mum's basement watching this at 3 a.m. and loving it.
I was going to say, this is definitely, I don't smoke, and I'm not against anybody who does. I'm not for or against it. I'm just saying, but even I could say this is definitely a stoner movie.
Yeah.
I think you have to be imbibed in one way or other to truly enjoy this movie. Just stone cold sober, totally logical watching this. No, it's a rough viewing for me. What I caught this time that I didn't catch when I first saw it when I was much younger and I wasn't as analytical when I watched movies. This movie actually has a message, and it's a really nice message, actually. And the message is, don't give up on your dreams.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, that's actually a powerful message, and I actually really like that is in here.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, because when, Gord's girlfriend, Betty, and we should actually say that she's in a wheelchair, and so her dream is to make a rocket-powered wheelchair, and it's not until he sees her succeed in that he suddenly realizes you can achieve anything, if you really try. And so you're quite right. That message is in there.
Some of the humor in this, I think that's also why it's rough for me to watch. First off, I'm not a big fan of the whole Freddy got fingered storyline at all. Like the whole, it's funny, but it's not, but it is, but it isn't kind of humor because, long story short, first off, they don't really follow up on that too heavily in this movie, is that he accuses his father of sexually molesting his brother, and they take his brother away, and his brother spends the rest of his movie and life in a home for molested children. That's what it's called. It has a sign in front of the building that says home for molested children.
Yes.
And that's where he ends up spending the rest of his life. And his father, thankfully, doesn't get, any kind of court dates or jail time or any kind of labels as a pedophile child molester. But I'm like, ooh, I just don't think that shit's funny, dude. I really don't like that. It's like, I tried to kind of be like open-minded and be like, oh, I know they're joking, but I don't like that kind of shit. I just, So, that automatically docks points off of my rating for this movie right then and there, I can tell you that. The other thing I didn't like is the physical humor with the child. I know with adults we do it all the time in slapsticks, and we think it's funny. Oh, we hit Chris Farley in the face with a wood stick or whatever. That's great, but when I see kids doing that kind of shit and they have him constantly getting smashed in the face, and now his face has got a giant bruise on, and he's bleeding out of his mouth, and teeth are falling out. I just don't find that shit funny either. So, that's why those are some of the things that make this movie hard for me to watch. I know it's a comedy, and it's not really happening, but it's humor is very subjective. That's why most comedies don't win a lot of awards, because one person's over there crying, laughing over this kid spitting out teeth, and then there's somebody like me going, "Ooh, I really don't like that. That really bothers me." So that's some of the stuff that makes this movie really rough for me to watch.
Yeah, I've got to admit that probably would have worked better if that had been an adult rather than a child. But then again, maybe that's the whole idea. It's meant to be
exactly
shocking. When he walks into an aeroplane propeller and sprays blood, over the entire audience. So, look, I don't know. I'm sort of in two moods about this movie, because I know that there are so many films out there or TV shows that I adore that use very similar, real base, gross, disgusting sort of setups for humour. And so I feel like I would be a bit of a hypocrite to say I really hate this, but I just don't think that this movie carries it off as well as those other movies. You can watch, Grimsby, and I just laughed all the way through. Even the grosser it got, the more I laughed. Like if I watched Trailer Park Boys, the more ludicrous and stupid it gets, the more I laugh. But in this, even though it's doing the same thing, I just wasn't getting the laughs, And maybe that's just the difference between Tom Green and other writers. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he was always a very controversial style of humor. But like I said, I think his humor just works best for pranks and short skits. Like, oh my God, I remember one of the first things I ever saw Tom Green do was when he was interviewing people on the street, and he had a piece of dog shit on the microphone, and he was sticking it in people's faces. Oh my God, I laughed watching that, because it was just amazing how people would forget that there was dog shit on the microphone because there was a camera in their face, and they're like, "I'm on TV."
Oh dear.
He does weird shit like that. I mean, he interviewed people on the street with a dildo with vibrators.
Yes.
The microphone, and people are just like ignoring it and acting like, oh, that's what microphones look like, I guess. And so, he did a lot of funny stuff. Oh, the bubble boy, when he went to a softball field and he's in a giant bubble and he's saying,
oh my goodness,
allergies, but
that's fantastic. See,
I love Tom Green, but his material isn't suitable for a full-length feature film, because I felt like a lot of the film was not always a cohesive story. It was just him doing random Tom Green shenanigans.
Yeah.
Like he's working in the cheese sandwich factory and he stands up on the conveyor belt and he takes a giant salami and he holds it up like it's his penis and he's like, dong, 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 and he's hitting somebody in the face with it, and I'm like, it's kind of funny because it's just like, oh God, he's so silly and goofy. But I mean, that's not really something I want to sit and watch for an hour and a half.
But this is, I mean,
in small doses, yes, but for an hour and a half, no.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen this before in many movies where you take sketch artists, and whether it be an individual or whether it be a group of people, and people sort of say, oh, but what you did on that show was so funny. Let's make a movie about it. But suddenly you've got to take these little independent, 3-minute skits and now turn it into 90 minutes. And I think that's the problem with this, is that you're taking various skits and trying to expand it into 90 minutes. It's just, it's too hard. It just doesn't work.
Exactly. And also, this movie has the bad film trifecta. You have one person writing, directing, and starring in it. That's what happens in the room. That's what happens in a lot of these pieces of shit that I call it the bad movie trifecta. But sometimes it's just a bad movie duo. Sometimes it's just enough if it's just the same writer and director. Then a lot of times you get a shitty story in a shitty movie. But if you got all three, a lot of times, yikes. Not always, because there are people that pull it off. I mean, look at Clint Eastwood. He's very good at the whole, writing, directing, starring. So it can be done. But yeah, you got to be extremely gifted and talented to pull this off.
I mean, Tom Hanks is another classic example. But I think the other thing is that those people, whether it be someone like Clint Eastwood or Tom Hanks, they put in the hard yards, before they would even attempt to go down the roles of directing and all this sort of thing. It's like there's that great line in S.O.B., the Blake Edwards comedy, where one of the characters sort of says, I want to be a director, and the head of the studio goes, that's all I need, another director. It's like nobody wants to act anymore. They make 3 movies and suddenly now acting isn't good enough for them. Now they've got to direct. And so it's I don't know. At least he didn't sing the theme tune. That's the last piece, isn't it? When you sing the theme tune.
My bum is on the cheese. Yeah. I was definitely expecting a song and dance number in this, I have to admit.
That doesn't work unless you're Mel Brooks, And then now see, there's a man who can produce it, direct it, write it, star in it, and even write the soundtrack to it, and it's still fantastic. So there is an example of a man who is capable of doing every single job in Hollywood. He could probably still even make the tea and coffee for everybody, but then again, he's still one of my favourites of all time. You know, Mel Brooks.
No, he's great.
I mean,
yeah, love Mel Brooks, definitely.
Even the movies he makes that people says have been crap, I still love him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I still absolutely
totally.
love him. You know, I mean,
Totally.
silent movie. I mean, who else out there in Hollywood would come up with the idea that every single person in the movie would not speak except for Marcel Marceau?
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I did like
just
it.
brilliant.
Yes, I
Just
did like
brilliant.
that movie.
Yeah,
I loved it
yeah.
too. But Freddy got fingered. You know, back when I saw it, I said it was the worst movie I ever saw. Now I don't think it's the worst movie I've ever seen. I still think it's bad, but at the same time, it's kind of I almost want to say you kind of have to see it one time just to expose yourself to that kind of humor and viewing experience. But also, I don't want to give this movie too much credit, but there are certain shots in this movie that are very stylized for like half a second. And it's like almost for half a second, it's almost like an art film on certain scenes of the movie. Just for half a second. You're just like... And you can tell that Tom Green was like, okay, when I do this shot, I absolutely want to make sure you can see that this and that from this angle. And, you know, it's like, so I mean, like, I don't know what he was trying to do.
I know. It's, if you had to, okay, so if we're going to rate this one then, how do you reckon we're going to go? Because,
okay. Well, I have definitely more negative than positive to say, but at the same time, it does have Tom Green in there. It has Tom Green humor, which, you know, when I watched this movie is what I wanted to see, and it's in there. Also, the added bonus of there are quite a few celebrities in here, and that's actually, it's fun to see them popping up, like, oh my gosh, she's in there, oh, so I mean... But I find it hard to watch. I just don't find this an easy film to watch. But that's me. So I'm just going to give this 2 Erics out of a possible 5 Eric Roberts. So 2 Erics for me.
2. Okay.
2.
I'm actually... I don't know if you're going to love me or hate me for this. I'm actually going to give this 3 out of 5 Erics.
Oh, wow. Okay, definitely watchable for you.
I actually did not come out of this movie going, I've wasted an hour and a half. I actually came out with some laughs. You know, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but I actually didn't mind it that much.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't that painful for you, because as I was kind of watching it, I'm like, oh, goodness, I hope Warren can deal with this, because he's sick right now, and he's got to watch a bad movie, and then he's got to watch this one.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. Watching Darkweb, that we spoke about just before, that was hard work. Watching this was honestly, it's bad, it's shocking, but it's still entertaining. You know, it's like watching when and here's obviously an honourable mention for the worst movie ever made, of course, The Room. See, watching that was hard work. You know, that was really hard work. I mean, I honestly think the only saving grace of The Room was the fact that, Juliet Daniel took her top off about 4 times. I mean, apart from that, there's honestly there's no saving grace. But she's gorgeous, I have to admit, she's gorgeous. So there's no saving grace about that movie, you know, whatsoever. There's no saving grace about Darkweb. There's just nothing good about it.
No.
But Freddy Got Fingered has got its moments, you know? So, yeah. So, no, I'll go with 3 out of 5 Erics.
Okay, it does have some moments. I mean, it really does. It's I no longer consider it the worst movie I've ever seen. That goes to The Room for now.
Yeah.
Although Darkweb's definitely in that genre of terrible.
Oh, yes.
But no, like I said, this is it's just, for me, it's just so cringe. I'm constantly cringing when I watch that.
Well, the other thing, though, we have to bring up about Tom Green is that when this movie won a Razzie, which it actually won several Razzies.
Oh my God!
And I think anyone who listens to this show knows what a Razzie is. You know, it's basically the award for the worst movie of the year. And he actually went to accept his award. And that was unheard of, right? Nobody has ever done that.
Do you know who else? Has done that since?
Showgirls.
Halle Berry did that. Halle Berry did that for Catwoman.
Oh, she turned up. She turned up.
She did.
And,
she did. And she fake cried, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting a Razzie. This is the best ever. Like, she like cry laughed, like she played it off. She was a good sport. But yeah, Tom Green totally owned it too. He was the first person to show up and pick up his Razzie for his shitty movie.
Well, I think the director of Showgirls also turned up.
How funny.
But the difference between that and Tom Green was that this was the very first time, because Showgirls didn't actually win Worst Movie of the Year. It just won in a particular category. I can't remember which category it was. The difference with Freddy Got Fingered is it won every single category it was put up in. And so basically Tom Green got to basically just continually keep going up on stage to accept all these rewards or awards, I should say. But apparently, the story goes, I've never seen it, I don't even know if there is footage of it, but apparently the story goes that once on stage, he started playing the harmonica and wouldn't stop, and security had to drag him off stage.
I've heard that, and there must be some truth to it. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the actual awards for this movie, let's take a look at this really quick. Okay, so for all the Razzies, here's what he got. So in 2001, this movie won Worst Screenplay, Worst Actor, Worst Director, Worst Screen Couple, and it says here Tom Green and any animal he abuses. So he won an award for that. Worst Picture.
Yes.
So it won. It won 5 Razzies.
Where I think, for instance, what was different between his go into the Razzies and with Showgirls was that Showgirls won, I think, Worst Director, but didn't win Worst Film. So that was what was a bit different about it. Yeah, God. But it's up there. I still think The Room is 1,000 times worse, and no,
Freddy Got Fingered does have some entertaining moments. It does have some entertaining moments, whereas The Room, I think that movie's boring as hell.
Yeah.
It's fun to make fun of, but actually just watching it straight up, so boring. Ooh.
And I know there's going to be some people who are going to say, why did you not choose the movie that everyone says is the worst film ever made, Plan 9 from Outer Space? And for me, I think the answer is very, very simple. It's not that bad.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's not that bad. And it's actually so bad, it's good. It's fun to watch.
That's the thing.
It's not boring. I'm not cringing. It's entertaining. Whereas, with Freddy Got Fingered, you just listen to us talk about all the things that are wrong with it and how I cringe and how the subject matter bothers me. I don't have those arguments about Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah.
The acting's bad and the story's silly, but it's fun to watch. It's entertaining. It's so bad, it's good.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think we've sort of come to the end of the show because I honestly just want to collapse in a pile of my own. Oh my God, I won't even mention it. Yeah, at the moment. So, I look and feel such a mess at the moment. And in fact, I'm going to get everything wrong. So I am going to let you do all the shout-outs, Velvet, if that is all right.
All right. No problem. Here we go. Okay, so it's been a hell of a show tonight. So go ahead and follow us on our social media. We're especially active on Twitter at Cult Movie Show. You can also follow us on Instagram at Cult Movie Show. And we do follow back on Twitter. Just to give you a heads up, we do follow back. People like that. People like to be followed. And also, shout out to Alana Evans, who gives us our music at the end of the show. Shout out to Grainne McDermott, who was kind enough to grace us with her graceful presence in our stumbling, bumbling, coughing interview.
I know. Please forgive us, Grainne. You were better than what we gave you. So please forgive us.
Okay, shout out to our friends at Only Funny to Us podcast because they help us out too. And if you want to follow me personally, Velvet, on my social media and get to know a little bit more about me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. But also, please be 18 years or older because I do post adult content. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at OMG, it's Velvet. And you can also follow my co-star if you like model trains and everything movies on Twitter at Martini Super Dry. Did I forget anything?
No, I think that's a lot. I tend to admit I tend to post more about model trains, I think, on my personal one than movies. But, anyway.
You have a legion of model train fans.
Yes, I know. All right, well, I'm about to collapse. So thank you, everybody, for listening in. We do, of course, apologise for some technical difficulties we had at the start. I do apologise for my voice and rambling, because obviously my mind is just not 100% there. I want to thank Velvet for helping to pull me through this show. Thank you for that. You've been wonderful as always.
Thank you.
I think that's a wrap.
All right. Talk to you guys next week.
No worries. So we will be back next week, and we'll leave you, as always, with Alana Evans and Perfect.